Hey, remember this theme that I built back in 1.12? Well, it has been revived. I've updated the TNT dupers and it's all working for me. Keep in mind I'm currently in 1.14.4 and it appears, according to the comments of on Ilmango's video on how to update all of his tunnel bores to 1.13, 1.14, that in 1.15 something has changed, so this probably won't work in 1.15. And like since 1.14.3, it looks like this theme may have become directional. Luckily, I've built in a direction that appears to work, so that's great. Anyways, it's been fun to run this theme again, and especially easy, now that I have a proper mob switch. But now, how about we make our way over to my brand new dual witch farm perimeter. The Nether perimeter hasn't really changed much since World Update 5. Haven't built any farms here yet, don't plan on to until after 1.16. And I haven't done any slabbing out here yet at all. But, I don't know, I kind of want to do something that, you know, looks kind of nice. Like, just slabbing the typical Nether is pretty much, it's a pretty bad eyesore. So, I don't know, I was considering, like, what if I replaced all the visible netherrack with stone, and then I can, you know, of course, just stone slabs. And that might pull off a really nice effect. But I'm not entirely sure if I want to do that or not. Hence why I haven't broken ground on it yet. And besides, like, the next major project is Silver Storage Room project, so that's why barely anything's really been done here in the Nether. Anyways, if we want to get up to the dual witch farm perimeter, we gotta go up here through here. And yeah. And for 1.16, I'm thinking I'll definitely be pruning my Nether. Like, probably like everything 500 blocks outside of, like, the center of my Nether perimeter here will probably get pruned. That's probably what I'm gonna do. Here we are at my brand new dual witch farm perimeter. And I got my mob switch on right now, so we're not gonna get any witch spawns. So how about I fix that? And there we go! Toggled off. I love this mob switch. I love it so much. Unfortunately, there's currently a bug in the 1.16 snapshots where least aminals can teleport to the player when they get reloaded. So that would break my mob switch if that bug doesn't get fixed. If you're interested in upvoting it on the bug tracker, I'll include a link down below in the description. I highly recommend you upvote it. I've upvoted it and such because that would break my mob switch for wireless toggling. I'd have to go there and manually toggle it in future. Alright, enough about all that. Let's talk about the perimeter. This perimeter is 336 by 336 blocks in size. And the terrain here is 1.12 generation. With, 1.12 witch hut generation. So if you were to regenerate this world with the same seed and, like 113, 114 plus, you wouldn't get double witch huts here. As for the farms themselves, they're fairly basic. They're just two of Ilmango's 114.4 plus witch farm designs. Very simple, was quick to build up and everything. Each of the farms are rated for 4,300 items per hour. So with both of them, I would expect to see about 8,600 items per hour, especially since the mob cap is never being reached. So these things are running at max efficiency. And here in the center, I have just a simple storage system. It's actually temporary, but I'll get more into that a little bit later. If we go down here, we can see I got a Shulker box loader hooked up to it. This particular Shulker box loader design is from SamosTheSage. It's really nice in how compact it is. It's only 3 blocks high and 7 blocks deep. Really, really nice in that regard. However, I have been having some issues, like Shulker boxes getting into the wrong row, and once in a creative world, I observed like a Shulker box getting like stuck into like on top of the new Shulker box in the hopper there. So it seems like that's an occurrence that can happen. And actually, if I look at the items that I got, you can see like redstone, gunpowder, and glowstone. Sugar. I got like these 2 boxes on the bottom row, but for these, I only got 1, so it makes me suspicious that maybe I've lost a box. But yeah, so far I haven't been pulling resources out of here at all. But as I said, this whole thing is temporary, so none of those issues really matter. And when I say it's temporary, it's probably gonna stay here for like the next 2 years within my world, but my eventual plan for this place is to upgrade it to a looting-based witch farm. So transport all the witches to a central location where I can whack them with my looting sword. And presumably that way I'd get more like 32,000 items per hour. So that's certainly something I want to do at some point. I definitely also want to decorate the perimeter. I already got some ideas for what I want to make the perimeter walls look like. But that's going to be put on hold for a long time, so for now, this place is just purely functional. And that's really all I have to say about this project. My first World Eater in survival was pretty interesting. Unfortunately, I did have some issues with some slime blocks on the north side getting repeatedly blown up, but that never happened in my testing. So I don't know, my theory is that since I did my testing in a World Eater 00 with the World Eater, that maybe it has something to do with floating point precision, that I encountered that issue. Maybe. Since we're out here in the low 10,000s. But, I don't know. I mean, in the end, and I've got the perimeter, and I ran the World Eater straight all the way through without any major hiccups, so that was great. I also made sure to save the witches from the original witch huts. So, yeah, these guys, they don't count to the mob cap, and they don't despawn. As if you named them. So, yeah, kind of special, I suppose. Let's talk about my sword system project. The last time I talked about this in World Update was episode 6, where I was just first laying out what I wanted to accomplish with this project. Not a single block here had been placed yet at that time. And since then, things have ballooned a little, to say the least. Where do I even begin? Well, I guess I should start by giving an abstract overview of the scope of the item sorter at this point in time. So, much like in World Update 6, I have made another sort of block diagram to visually show just how far I want to go with this project. Starting at the beginning, things are going to look pretty similar as they did in World Update 6, with the influx buffer. The goal, pick up the loose items, store them in an inventory temporarily, while they can wait to be sorted. So that way we don't have any items despawn. From there, items are sent to a shulker box filter, which filters out shulker boxes and sends them to an unloader. The items from the shulker box unloader have a lower priority over items coming from the influx buffer, and that just makes a lot of sense because, well, a loose item in inventory will take up a slot in of itself, where a shulker box taking up that same slot in of itself contains 27 slots, so it makes a lot of sense to clear out the loose items first. Beyond the shulker box filter, we'll have the sackables filter, which splits items out into non-sackables, 16 sackables, and 64 sackables. The non-sackables will be sent to a non-sackables item sorter, and the 16 and 64 sackables will be sent to their own double speed item feeders, and they'll feed the items to the double speed item sorter. The double speed item sorter will sort items at 18,000 items per hour, and load them into shulker boxes into a bulk storage. Any items that don't get sorted into bulk storage will be put in a temporary buffer and sent to a multi-item sorter. In this case, I'm currently working with an M1 sorter. And from there, anything else that just doesn't happen to get sorted will just be put in an array of chests where I can manually grab it out and then maybe add those items to my multi-item sorter. So that way they'll be sorted again in the future. And all of this so far is fairly similar to what I showed in World Update 6. Except there is a new component in the mix. A shulker box sorter. You see, with all the farms and such that I'm going to be building and running over time, it doesn't make sense to send those loose items into the double speed item sorter. At some point, 18,000 items per hour isn't going to be fast enough to sort them. So it makes better sense to pack those items into shulker boxes at the farm's location and then send it to a shulker box sorter, at which point it sorts those shulker boxes and puts it into the same bulk storage that the double speed item sorter does. And there you have it, an updated abstract overview of what I'm trying to do with my sword system project. Now let's take a look inside. A nice multi-item sorter right in front of us, a M1 sorter. And oh yeah, big wide open spaces, tons of bulk storage, enough to sort 112 unique items. And overall, I gotta say, I really like the look of this, I really do. But I won't be building this. You see, I have been having some problems with developing this thing. Primarily with what I decided to put it in. And honestly, upon reflection, I don't really think this tower design is going to work out. So I want to design a new tower. And the space constraints I have inside are pretty tight. And I'd like a little bit more space. So that with the tower redesign, that'll give me an opportunity to address that issue. Essentially what I'm saying is I'm restarting development on this project. Ripping up all the old stuff, taking all the knowledge and all the things I've learned in building this thing up thus far to put towards a version 2 that will eventually be built in my survival world. As much as I'd like to spend all day into talking about the technical details of this storage system and the thought process behind all the design decisions thus far, obviously don't really have time for that today. So instead, I'm going to focus on 2 questions that I imagine people would have. Question 1, is this storage system as you see it functional? No. At this point, it's about 85% done. But of course, I'm going to be restarting development, so I won't be finishing off this iteration. And 2, what is with that sacked shulker box sorter? Alright, so the reason for sacking the shulker box sorter is really quite simple, and that is to fill it entirely with inside a single chunk. The problem is if I built this like along with the rest of, the double speed item sorter, when the shulker sorter crosses chunk borders like the dropper or hopper lines across chunk borders, there is a potential there if like one chunk's loaded and the other chunk's not, for the sorter to essentially break and we'd end up with undefined behavior, like it would mis-sort shulker boxes or whatever. So, of course, to avoid that, just build it all inside a single chunk. And then go ahead, drop into those shulker boxes, and route them to the specific slice, and that corresponds to the bulk storage. So if we go all the way down here, you would see, there we go, that right there. Now, I already know what you're thinking. Duke, why don't you use portal permaloaders? And portal permaloaders are great, but here's the thing. If I save and quit my world and load it back up, those portal permaloaders aren't going to load back up when I load the world, only when I enter the chunks that they are in. So it doesn't entirely mitigate the issue. It would help it. And I am planning on using portal permaloaders as a way of keeping the sorter ends of running, like when I just come over to drop some items off and then run off to a project. But it should never be reliant on the portal permaloaders. It should function without them. Like if I don't have the portal permaloaders, if they're not working for some reason, everything should be fine. Nothing should light on fire, essentially. Now, I know what some of you are probably thinking, like, Duke, just don't log out of your world while you're sorting shulker boxes. Like, it's just that simple. Why bother with all of this? And yeah, I could do that, but that would require me to be consciously aware of when this thing is sorting shulker boxes, probably have like an on-off switch that I manually toggle, and it'd be something in my world that I have to worry about breaking when I go to save and quit. And I don't want that. This storage system as a whole should be as reliable as possible. It should not break. Unfortunately, everyone, I'm going to have to end this episode here. I have so much more stuff I would have loved to talk about this episode, but we're out of time. So, if you've enjoyed this video, maybe leave a like. If you haven't already, maybe subscribe. I don't know. Do the YouTube things. And until next time, whatever that might be, I'll see y'all later. Bye.